What's up, everybody? This is In the Pocket, where we talk about the things and people around sports that you want to talk about. I'm Big Bob. That's Maestro. Maestro, Merry Christmas. I know this is coming out day after Christmas. How was your Christmas?
It was outstanding, Big Bob, baby. And how was it was just really good, nice and quiet. Did a lot of chilling, did a lot of reading just because. What is it? What it is, what it is. Merry Christmas to you too, Boo. How was your Christmas?
You know what? My Christmas isn't going to be until Tuesday, and that's when I get to see my wife for what feels like months, I think it has been months. So I get to see my wife and
Yeah.
animals, and then we get them officially moved out to Minnesota with me. So I'll let you know
Love it.
next. I'll let you know on the next episode.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Well, everybody, so I know we are what I think I would like to consider a podcast for the people. We talk about the things and people around sports that you want to talk about. But I do want to touch on something before we jump into those great questions that you guys gave
Yeah.
us this week. Great questions. I'm tired of hearing about DK Metcalf and how the fan is somehow responsible for his actions. And I'm tired of Steeler fans or fans that do not like the Baltimore Ravens looking at a situation that involved Lamar Jackson and a fan in the past where he didn't get in trouble. Two completely different situations. I'm
Yes.
I don't like to bunch up fan bases together because
Thank you.
the vocal ones are the ones that you hear the most, and that's usually the vocal minority. Um, but people were talking, oh, the fan shouldn't have said anything to DK, blah blah blah. Lamar Jackson shoved the fan and didn't get in trouble. Two completely different situations. Lamar Jackson got shoved by a fan while the team was walking off the field, and he reactionary shoved the fan back. Completely unnecessary by the fan. I do not fault Lamar Jackson at all for that. DK Metcalf had to walk over during the
Mm-hmm.
game.
Mm-hmm.
During the game walked over and grabbed the fan by the shirt throat, whatever he did, and then gave him a shove punch type situation. I don't care
Yeah.
what that fan said. Metcalf is a professional and should not have gone. He had no reason going over there. I do not care if he talked about his mom. I don't care if he said any kind of word to him, which all reports are saying that he did not. And I've seen some fan videos of the incident that does not seem to corroborate DK Metcalf's side of the story. But
Right.
regardless, he's a professional. He shouldn't have gone over there. The NFL isn't against the Steelers. The refs aren't against the Steelers. DK Metcalf made a stupid decision, and it cost him the last two games of the season and potentially $45 million. So I
Yes.
do. I just. I
Yes.
want to. I needed to get that off my chest a little bit because I'm tired of hearing about it and tired of seeing people try and justify what DK did because there's no justification of that as a professional.
And thank you for doing that. And also I want to say thank you to our great, amazing listeners for not even having that as one of the questions because it
Yeah.
shows you what level they're on already, right? And I'm okay. And I'm just going to say something, Big Bob. I want to take it one more step further. You're right. He should have known he has more to lose than that guy has to lose. And I promise I'm going to say this one thing. I'm going to get off of it. But if you're a teammate and you see your guy heading into that situation, somebody has to go grab a jersey. Say, hey man, it's not worth it. Think of yourself. Think of think of what's going on. Think of your fam. Think of whatever you have to say, right, to keep your teammate from going sideways. And so it's like, yes, he should be held accountable for his actions. And I'm going to kind of stretch that net a little bit wider and say that teammate, coaching staff, somebody else, trainer, intern, somebody should have said, "Hey, my man, you know what? Step away from this dude. He's not worth it, or whatever." That I didn't see that either. So it's what it is. He did what he did. He's going to pay for what he's going to pay for. And yeah, there you go. You're right. Should not have done it. We could,
Yeah.
you can say that forever because no matter what, the person with the most to lose will always come out looking the worst.
Absolutely, and I think the most telling thing is you're saying a teammate or somebody on that team should have stepped in, even prior to the incident. From what I remember of the video, DK was by himself. Like
Right.
he wasn't even he wasn't being a teammate. And yeah,
Right.
Yeah, we were taking a small snippet from a game, but at the end of the day, it cost him 2 games, money, and potentially $45 million. And there's
Mm,
just no justifying that. But
no,
sorry, I,
no,
I
not
will
at all.
get off. I'll get off my soapbox on that.
You good,
um,
boo?
yeah, but I do want to jump into this first question, which I felt pretty honored to get this particular question. I was having a conversation on TikTok with former NFL cornerback Rod Smith, former Notre Dame. I believe he won. Did he win 2 national? I know he won. I think he won at least 1 national championship at Notre Dame. But I did through conversation got a question from him, and he said, first off, thank you so much, Mr. Smith, Mr. Rod Smith, for your question. Do we think the Patriots and Broncos are for real, and why? Now, I do want to say while we're recording right now, the Chiefs game is currently going on, and at the start of the recording, it was about 2:43 left in the fourth quarter, and the game was tied. Um, they're playing a Chiefs team that is down to their third string quarterback.
From
Um,
the practice squad.
a guy that a guy that should not be able to keep them into the game. But at the end of the day, he's we say that, but he is still, and he made a team somehow. There's still some talent there. And as
He's
we're
closer to Mahomes than we are to him.
there you go. I know the Brian Scalabrine quote always sticks into my head. I'm
Yeah.
closer. I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me.
Mm.
While we're talking, the Broncos actually scored minute 45 left, 20-13 for the Broncos. Um, what are your thoughts on this Broncos and this Patriots team, both with two young quarterbacks? I believe both second year. I believe Drake May was a rookie last season. Um, so we got Drake May running that Patriots offense. We got Bo Nix running this Denver offense. Bo Nix doesn't seem to have lost a step from his freshman NFL season. Drake May took that step that people expected him to take. So, what are your thoughts on these two teams being led by these two young quarterbacks at the head? I believe both at the head of their divisions.
Yes. So first of all, what's so amazing about the question about all the I think we have a record number of questions this week actually. So I would not go for a score in 7 years ago on you. I promise. Um, so okay, so here's the reality. First of all, they're doing it two different ways. To me, the Patriots are finally looking like their coach, Vrabel.
Mm,
Vrabel.
yep.
They are playing mistake-free ball within every play, and are able to maintain that mental intensity to do that throughout the entire game. The game they lost last week, I forgot who they were playing, but they lost at the end of the game, shows you how one breakdown can make a difference when a team can take advantage of it. And that's what
Are,
happened with the
are you
Patriots in the
are you
game they
talking
just
about the
lost.
game that they were winning 21-0? Is that the game that you're
Yes.
thinking of?
Yes, it's the game I'm thinking of. So when you look at them, Vra- Vrabel, the way he approaches the game, I think this is the first time we've seen it on both sides of the ball. You see a team willing to take what's in front of them, play within themselves, and be consistent throughout the game, and let you make the mistakes. Right. So to see them play that way, and we know the NFL is a one possession league. If everything pans out,
Yep.
everybody turns out 500. Right. Half wins, half loss, even with the odd number of games now. But there's a reality about that level of play when you get guys that can buy into a system. I'm not going to do too much, but I will do more than just enough. And when they do that together and play that team ball, that's what we're seeing with the Patriots. On the other side of the question, with the Broncos, what you're seeing is the exact opposite. You're seeing a lot of gunslinger play, free ball play at the start of the game, and then they seem to tighten it up as the pressure gets on them at the end of the game. Now, what that would lead me to think, I'm going to put, and listen, this is my team. So you know how hard it is for me to say. I want to make sure everybody understands what's going on here. All right. Ho, 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 suckers. I put my money on the Patriots to be more consistent throughout the play that like they can maintain this throughout the playoffs because they don't have to be different from game to game. They don't have to come back and win a different way in every game. A lot of what the Broncos have had to do is defensive stops here, big offensive plays there also, and it's not consistent. And when you see them play at the start of the game, it's a totally different team in the fourth quarter than it is from the first quarter. That doesn't travel well all season. And I'm not saying that they don't have a chance to win it all. Everybody does once you get into the dance, right? But the reality of it is that inconsistency can be taken advantage of in a one-game scenario against a team. For instance, if the Broncos and the Patriots played against each other, 8 times out of 10, my money is going to be on the Patriots because they're going to play mistake-free.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about it. Hopefully that sort of addresses that issue of you have two really good teams, but look at how they got to the record that they got to tell you what they might be in the upcoming games, particularly going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the two teams, just speaking strictly offense, defense, I mean, the New England Patriots have the best differential in points scored, points for, points against in the AFC, third overall in the entire NFL, but just in the AFC. The Broncos, they're average with everybody else. They are in the positive, but all that to say, they are a team. The Broncos themselves, the Broncos are a team where they seem to try and do, like you said, the Patriots. They don't. They kind. I'm sorry that I always use that Clippers team from a couple years ago. They are doing their job and they're doing their job well. They're not trying to go outside of their comfort zone. They might a little bit, but they're not going outside of their comfort zone. You're here to play defense. You're here to pass the ball. You're here to shoot the ball. That's what that Clippers team, they did what they were supposed to do, and that's what this Patriot team does. And they have a good, solid young core. Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, I was not expecting him to have as good of a year that he is having. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, he got benched. He had some fumble issues. I believe it was Henderson. He had some fumbling issues. People were calling for him to be benched. But he has really become one of the stars of this Patriots team. And all they need, in my opinion, offensively, they need to get a good, solid young receiver, maybe in the draft coming up, to complement, because then you're going to have your Drake May, Travion Henderson, and whoever this wide receiver is for a good period of time. That's a good big window offensively that they have to potentially make a Super Bowl. The Broncos are, I think they are good. I don't think they're a flash in the pan. They do have some things to work out. Everybody deals with injuries in the NFL. Some teams deal with them better. We see last season the Detroit Lions had, I believe, 19 players on the IR at one time, and they unfortunately for them, they lost in the second round of the playoffs. I believe they had that first round bye. They lost in the second round of the playoffs, their first game, because those injuries really did catch up to them. But again, all that to say, I do think both teams are real. I just think that the Patriots are the most complete team, and just looking at their future, what they can work on. Get Drake May a good young receiver so that they can have a good young core with those three for a long, long time. That's if money doesn't become an issue, that's a good three-headed monster. You would have Drake May, Henderson, and a good young whatever that good young receiver is. That'd be a good core to have for 8 to 10 years. And yeah. But I would like to tie again. Thank you, Rod Smith, for that question. I want to tie in my former coworker and friend. Not former friend, but former coworker, Adam. He wanted to talk about it. I'm going to tie it into Rod's question. Do we think this NFL season is a fluke or a change in the landscape of the NFL? And he's just talking about how there are those certain teams, the Jags, the Colts, the Bears, how we weren't really expecting them to do what they're doing, but they're doing it. And then you have your Chiefs, Ravens, Commanders, and them not really doing at all what we expected them to do. And I think now this is where I do think a lot of these teams struggled with injuries. Now we look at, there's something with the Chiefs, and I think it's finally catching up to them. Every single season we talk about how Mahomes is carrying this team, and he's going out of his way and making these superhuman plays to keep them alive. He can only do that for so much. It's not like he's a pocket passing quarterback that's just going to
Right.
throw the ball away or get down or whatever. He's going to take these hits. He's using his body a lot more than some of these other quarterbacks. How
Mm-hmm.
long can he withstand that punishment with the way that they are playing? And a lot of it usually has to do with that offensive line. If he has to run around back there and run for his life or take these unnecessary hits, how long is he going to be able to play? We saw what happened with players like RG3. He was going to turn
Great
around
point.
that
Great point.
Commanders. He's going to change their entire direction. And then he
Great
hurts
point.
his knee, and he could never, ever get back to the way he was because the way
No.
he played, he was an athletic quarterback who ran around or made plays with his legs. If you lose Mahomes and he can't use those legs anymore, yes, he's going to be able to make some passes that most quarterbacks can't make, but he's not going to be able to extend those drives or extend those fourth downs or third downs to try and make a big play. Again, I don't necessarily think it's a change of landscape. Again, I do think it's injury, but some of these players are also playing to what we expected them coming out of college. You look at the Jaguars, Lawrence. I almost said Lawrence Taylor.
He is definitely not Lawrence Taylor.
Trevor Lawrence is finally playing to a level that we expected him to out of college. He was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning.
Right.
And again, I take whenever a player doesn't do well with the Jags, I typically take that with a grain of salt, the same as teams with the
Mm-hmm.
Raiders, and I apologize, Maestro, the same as with the Jets. If a
Yeah. Oh
quarterback
no. Don't
struggle, if
apologize. Truth is
when
truth, baby.
quarterbacks
Truth is.
struggle with these certain teams, I do look at it as more of a internal issue and not necessarily the player issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
so again, I
You're gonna
personally
prove your
think,
point later, by the way.
well, thank you.
I'm gonna prove your point later. Yeah.
I appreciate it. But I do think, honestly, when you look at the entire NFL, I feel like there's so much and I don't know if this is contradictory or not. I believe there's so much potential parity there that
Yes.
we could also be seeing a change of landscape, but I think there's so few more teams are better than average than there are
Yes.
terrible teams.
Right.
And like there's only so many Browns and Titans and Raiders,
And
and
Jet.
and the
Say it. Say
Cardinals.
it. No, say the words. Say the words. Say the words. It's
Uh,
fine. Uh,
uh,
no, no, dude. No, listen. I'm with you 100%. I do believe you're right. I do believe that every week we see it as a one possession game, as we talked about the situation with like the Broncos and how they managed to win this season, not being dominating, but just being just good enough to come back, like the tortoise and the hare kind of situation, right?
mhm.
So, but okay. So here's the thing: change is violent, right? And here's me when I say that. If you're gonna boil a pot of water, the water is perfectly still until it's not. you know, a snowball is a snowball until it melts, until it's not, right? So that moment of change from one moment to the other, that transition point is always violent. I think the same thing goes with sports leagues and other things in life too. You know, um, the reality of these teams being good and playing to their potential right now, I think is a soup of stuff the way Big Bob just basically laid it out. I think that extra game in the season, plus the number of playoff games that these teams are having to play now, you see a team like the Chiefs not able to overcome so many injuries that they've had this year, particularly to their quarterback. And once you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anybody. And I can say that. Look at my team. I wear it proudly. The reality though for these other teams, okay, I'm going to say it this way: the Jacksonville, when you look at the way they've won this season, it's been right play, right time at the moment what it's supposed to be. Even when even playing against teams that they're supposed to be so much better than, right? Like my Jets. Yeah, for a while, it's like, and then all of a sudden, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So, whenever you see a shift, a tectonic shift, the way we saw this particular season, Here's what I would say. Yes, it's a shift right now. But what is going to tell is, and there's something that's going to countermand what I'm going to say. So I just want to get the bad stuff out the way first in front of the court. The way coaches move around now, very little consistency is had within the locker room on the
Yep.
team, and we're going to talk about this more in detail later. The reality of these teams playing to what they are supposed to be, when we're so used to seeing them not play that way against teams that were not necessarily better than them, but executed better than they did, is that tectonic shift of violence within the league that we see. And oh, by the way, you already starting to see as soon as Kansas City got knocked out of the playoffs, you saw an interest drop in terms of hits on the NFL.com site. It was like, oh, they're not there. And we talked about this with like the college basketball thing. Everybody likes the underdog until they don't.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden, Kansas City's out of it. Detroit, I think, is officially out of it now. So these teams with these fan bases that have won, that have galvanized the nation in a way, as soon as they were eliminated, all of a sudden you started seeing a drop in all of the metadata of interest within the league. I'm not saying that people aren't still watching; people are, but that person who doesn't know, who thinks that Kansas City has always been this good because they know nothing about football and they like the number 15 jersey and that particular color red because it matches their tennis shoes, those fans are gone. Whereas the true fans, people who pay attention, are still there, which is fine. There's still enough. The NFL still has enough, right? And I'm apologize, I'm being too long in this answer, Adam, because it's such a great question. The reality of these teams being better now means that there's going to be a new potentially be a new Super Bowl champion this season, and will give us a conversation in the offseason leading into, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, and you're going to see this. And I tell anybody can go against Maestro on this one. All the stuff you're going to hear in the offseason are what the Chiefs are going to do, what Detroit's going to do, what the Eagles. It's going to be about the teams that we expect to be there in the offseason, not the teams who got to the playoffs, and maybe even the team that won the Super Bowl might be the least talked about Super Bowl team, unless it's the Bills, the least talked about Super Bowl team that we've seen in a while. So hopefully that kind of answered your question a little bit. I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's what it's going to be, but I think it also showed you the ugly underbelly of so many games in a season now, with all the playoff games finally catching up to the fact that teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Eagles, teams like Detroit have played a full season more than anybody else over the course of the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Adam. I'm going to tie in. Coach Pope did have an NFL question, and then we're going to shift. Well, I guess we're not going to shift gears a little bit, but I do want to get Jay Midoriya and Philip Rivers. So, Jesus. Jay Midoriya and Coach Pope still do have some NFL questions, but jumping to Coach Pope's, we did talk about it a little bit last week, and he wanted our thoughts on Philip Rivers and the Colts, especially now that we're 2 games in to Philip Rivers' return. And the Colts are still in this. The Colts are still in the AFC playoff hunt. They do have a winning record. I believe they might just have to win out, or I think if they win out, they may be in it. I think. I'm not sure what the playoff breakdown is right now, but we got Denver and the Chargers have clinched. We got Jacksonville clinched. Isn't there one extra team now there's 7 teams now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what it is. So if the Colts win out and Baltimore loses 1 game, then the Colts are in it. I think Philip Rivers, obviously he has been on the couch for 4 years. I believe Philip Rivers is exactly what this Colts team needed. Even though they have lost both games, he has clearly gotten better and more comfortable with those players around him as the games have gone on. And I think at this point, I do think the Colts made the right choice bringing out the old man if they are still trying to make the playoffs. All they have to do is win 1 game, all they have to do is win out or hope that the Ravens lose out, whatever. But yeah, right. I mean, they put up 27 points against 49ers, and a big part of that was Philip Rivers. He had a very, very good game. They take on the Jaguars
Mhm.
and the Texans, which are obviously two teams that are currently fighting for. Sorry, Jacksonville has clinched, but the Jesus, man, I don't know what. I'm trying to talk too much and not take a breath. I need to tell me. Here, take two.
Usabu, Usabu.
Take a couple deep breaths. Jacksonville's clinched. The Texans are fighting for a playoff spot, just like
Right.
the Colts are. So they don't have two easy games coming up, but
No.
I think they can split it. I think they'll be able to split it. Now Houston does have arguably the best defense in the AFC, potentially in the entire NFL. I'm trying to remember though; they might have just. I'm wondering if they lost somebody last week on that defense. It's going to hurt them moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I Philip Rivers guy. Let's give him. I'm giving him some love over
Please,
here, some claps. I mean,
please.
he
Absolutely.
for coming off the couch after 4 years, he's looking chunky. He's a little chunky down
Come
there.
on, dude. Come on, dude. Listen, he's not burning the calories like he used to back in the day now.
Hey,
So just hey, you know
he's
the
got
deal. Once you stop playing, gibbly, 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 start giddy.
he's got 37 and a half kids running around. He should still be in shape with all the
You know what?
he's
Fair point. Valid. Your Honor, I withdraw the statement.
But what are your thoughts so far? I mean, 2 games in. 2 games in. Obviously, last week B-Ron asked the question of, does that tell us,
Mhm.
is this more about the Colts, or does it speak more of the quality of quarterback that is available in the NFL right now? So again, that B-Ron's question from last week, and tying it in with Coach Pope's. What are your thoughts on Philip Rivers right now?
So the reality of it, and I'm looking at it 3 different ways. So take what I said last week about what I think the league should do to have valuable quarterbacks. And oh, by the way, so there. Okay, so let me get this straight. There's 32 teams in NFL, and probably 21 quarterbacks that you would definitely say are NFL quality quarterbacks in the 32 teams you have now, and now you add on a backup and a third string. So there are not 96 NFL capable quarterbacks, at least in the league right now. This is not, it's not what it is. Okay, so let's get that out the way. Then you go to a guy like Philip Rivers who can digest plays really quick. He played in the league for so long. He was coaching I think he was coaching in high school or something like that too.
I
So
think he was at some
but
point too. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So, here he is able to digest an NFL playbook, and he goes to an offensive coordinator. I think his last name is Cooter. Like, I think his last name is Cooter. See, somebody, Maestro, check me on this. Because I remember thinking,
I think you just wanted to say that, but go ahead.
I think I did too. I said, I think my man wanted to change his name or something. So somebody please, the OC for the Colts is a person who is known for, I'm going to look it up now, is a person who's known for designing plays and designing his scheme around the talent that he has, like most smart coaches do. And then with a player like Philip Rivers, who can come in and fit within your system, and he was probably given say right away. Again, I have no inside baseball on this. I'm just sort of guessing the way I'm looking at them play, how different they play with him as opposed to before him. It looks like Philip Rivers had a lot of say in terms of like how we need to change certain things, and having a bunch of players on the Colts that have a really high football IQ, they were able to do that. And again, change is violent, right? 2 losses, but they were in the games and they also played very well. That being said, they're building up their momentum at the absolute right time to make a run in the playoffs, in my opinion. And I believe that they can sort of do something with that. Now, the reality of it across the table is, how will Philip Rivers hold up once he starts going against teams with the way a lot of teams are doing now? They're building up their front four, or because most teams are running 4-3s now, or actually nickel, running 4 horses at the line and bringing that pressure without bringing the blitz. And when they bring the blitz, it's even more pressure. And when they start making contact, it don't feel like you're on the couch anymore. So, how is his body going to hold up under
Yep.
that? We know it did not hold up when he was younger and facing it all the time. And now that he's older, that could be a potential a danger, which is going to put more pressure on the offensive line not to make any mistakes, right?
Yep.
So, um, I I think it's the right coaches at the right time with the right player in the right situation. Philip Rivers was able to come in and be Philip Rivers and do what he's able to do now to make the impact that he's made. And I really think that's really why that, even though they've lost, everyone agrees that they can see that they're getting better, and the way they're getting better is a positive. So I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah, and doing a quick search, you were correct. He did go and coach the high school team. I don't know how long he coached it for, but according to AI, which is very not good to
Yeah.
use, he supposedly did
Yeah.
have a 12-0 season this season. Actually, it
Wow.
looks like they did go. I don't know if he coached this particular season this year, but they did go 13-1. So hey,
Okay.
whatever. But yeah, so yeah, Philip Rivers. I know people want to throw and your guys like Cam Newton throwing fits and stuff about him. I don't care about
Man,
them. I don't
I'm
care about
sorry.
I don't want to say I don't care
You
about
know
them. I
what?
don't care what they have
Okay,
to say.
okay, you're right. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this. That guy, that particular person is greater than anything I've ever even thought I wanted to be. So I want to get that out the way first. So in a lot of ways, he's earned the right to say whatever he wants to say, even if it's crazy. And that's crazy when people know you and know that you did not put in the effort. It's all about trust. I'm not bringing in somebody I can't trust, whether they're off the. Imagine leap this take, bringing somebody off the couch, not played for 5 years, the same way. The only parallel I can think of is this: the Dallas Cowboys back, and please, Maestro, check me on this because I could just be confirmation bias, just believe that I'm right.
John Kitna.
Mike Ditka,
Oh
Mike
nope.
Ditka played,
Okay.
yeah, Mike Ditka played for the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Retired, out of the game. I forgot how long it was. Please, again, Maestro, check me on this. The Dallas Cowboys, when they made their first serious Super Bowl run, brought him in as tight end in a time when you can tackle a guy, decapitate him, pull out his lower intestine, and write your name in the end zone, and the referee wouldn't even think about reaching for a flag. So just imagine this situation of the chance they took, and he performed very, very well, right? So now come back to modern times when offensive players, particularly quarterbacks, are protected, but that far away from the game. Think about all the quarterbacks that have come out of college ball in the last 5 years and how they were going to be the next best, fill in the blank here. And that wasn't the case. So I'm sorry, that's a huge bet to do that. Why was it done? Because they got somebody they can trust. And the person we're talking about, whose name I'm just not going to say, not out of disrespect, but just because I just don't want to, has proven that those coaches don't trust someone like him. I'm out.
There you go. I do. I feel bad, but I love bringing up Cam Newton's name because I know it just. I know it gets you going a little bit. We're gonna jump to keep again. Sorry, guys. I know this is a very, very NFL heavy episode, but we will jump. We will get some NBA talk in at the end.
Jim Bob Cooter. I'm sorry, I had to look it up too. Jim Bob Cooter. I knew his last name was Cooter. Forget y'all. Maestro got some knowledge.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Coach Pope, for that question. We will have another Coach Pope question at the end. But Jay Midoriya wanted to talk about Bryce Young. And is this a make or break season for the Panthers quarterback? And he is very inexperienced. I mean, is this his second or third year? I can't remember. I think it's is it his third?
I think it's his third.
Because he didn't, yeah, I think it's his third. And yeah, I mean, he's kind of having he is why in my opinion, you cannot give up on a player until you get 3 years out of them. Because he did not play like the number one overall pick for his first 2 seasons. I'm not saying he's playing like the number one overall pick right now, but he is protecting the ball and he is making plays. He has clearly learned from his mistakes. They had Andy Dalton there with him for a couple seasons. He is learning. Andy Dalton, not the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL, but was a pretty decent game manager. Bryce Young is learning from somebody who is very smart at the position, probably would be an amazing quarterbacks coach once he retires. But I personally, I don't think this is a make or break season for Bryce Young. I
No.
think where they are right now and what he has done this season has shown that the Carolina Panthers can move on for the next 5 to 8 years on looking for their future quarterback because they have him. It's time to move on from that conversation. Um, he's there. He's at this point, he doesn't have anything to prove right this second. He is improved. He is one of the main
Right.
reasons that they are in the position that they are in. Tying that in with Dowdle, their running back, who I'm sure I don't know if the Cowboys are really kicking themselves because they had Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams didn't have a bad season for them, but they have a good 1-2 punch at running back with Dowdle and Hubbard. So I think overall, and then obviously you got McMillan, Leggett. I mean, they have a very, very good, solid young core. Give them a couple more seasons. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they are going to be a team in that conference. I mean, the South is just they constantly beat each other up. They're constantly
Yes.
taking each other out in the NFC South. It's Carolina, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans. I mean, they're going to beat each other up every single season. I mean, 5-10 to 8-7. They're 3 games apart in that division
Yep.
from first to last place. Very
Right.
similar to the NFC North, where it is potential that every team in the NFC North finishes this season with a winning record if both the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings win next week. I mean,
Which means there
it,
will be a conference. There's some conference somewhere will have almost everybody with a losing or 500 record. When you see that conference, when one conference goes so heavy, I
yeah,
apologize. I
and
just
that
want to.
and no, and that could be that NFC South
Yes.
with how well the NFC North in general record wise is. That NFC South, yeah, you're going to have it's potential that I believe it's potential. I don't know who plays who except for I don't know who plays who actually. I don't know who plays who end the season, but it's potential that you have a losing record going into the playoffs. I mean, and it
Yep.
happens. We saw it happen with the Seattle Seahawks, and I think that was the
Seattle
season that
Seahawks.
we had the Marshawn Lynch run. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I do not believe this is a make or break for Bryce Young at all. I believe that this season, with the young core around him, including himself being part of that young core, I believe that he has shown that he's the future quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and they don't need to be fishing around anymore.
So here's my question. And oh, by the way, Jay, it's an amazing question, by the way, because you are asking more than just what I've seen other people say. I'm gonna admit something because I'm a Georgia guy, and I want everybody from Alabama to historically fail at anything that they do in the universe. I don't mind saying that. I'm gonna get that bias out the way first. But here's what I'm gonna say about that. I don't remember Bryce. I remember Bryce Young in college being spoken of in high praise and high form, but every praise came with a but, which means forget everything else I just said. The
Yep.
way it was kind of posited, right?
Yep.
So there's a thought that he is good, but he's da da da, but his hands are this, but he da 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 da, but and so and what and as a Georgia guy, I did not appreciate that upside down analysis of his game because obviously I watched the SEC and I watched him SEC and I watched him perform. I watched him perform as a leader. So I said, this is a guy that I think I could hand my keys to if I wanted to, right? So I want to get that out the way, that despite of him being with the arch rival, most hated college football team in the absolute universe and the other universes too, spoken as a real Georgia guy, I still respected his game enough to feel like he was being disrespected all the time. Here's what he has now that he didn't have before, and he had this in college too. I think he had a different offensive coordinator and a different play caller almost every year that he played as starter. And I
Probably.
think this is the first time he's not had a new offensive coordinator. And yes, okay, I'm gonna let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. Your boy Big Bob, he would text me right before we were recording what the questions are, because he's like he likes to tee me up to get me all shake. So what happens is I end up having to pull stuff out of places. That's why I keep asking you guys to Maestro check me on this because I really, really, really want to provide you good insight on it, right? So and by the way, Big Bob just likes to test my knowledge because he just gonna poke me with a stick all the time.
And we want,
So here's the
and
deal.
again, you mentioned it before, Mike. We do want this to be we
Yeah,
don't want this to be one of those shows where we're sitting behind the scenes and
yeah.
we're researching all this
Anybody can
stuff
do
about
stats.
things we don't know and making it
Anybody
and
can do
pretend like, yeah.
stats.
And we don't
Anybody,
want to pretend like we know what we don't know.
no, because we don't. We don't. And that's what I love about these questions because you give us a chance to dip into our shallow wells of knowledge to pull something out for you, right? So again, like with this question, he's finally at a situation. The Carolina Panthers, if I remember some article from back in February or whatever, I think they only added 4 new coaches in their staff this year, which is crazy in the NFL because there's always some major overhaul, especially with bad teams.
Yep.
And I think only one of those coaches was an offensive coach. So it was 3 new defensive coaches, which I think have made the difference in the defense this year, and 1 offensive coach, which is tangentially connected to what our guy Bryce Young is supposed to do. And I think the fact that the game has slowed down for him now in that 3rd year, and it was with the consistency around him, and also with him being able to be with guys who went on from the Panthers, see Baker Mayfield, see Sam Darnold, see other people who've gone on away from the Panthers because having an offensive-minded coach like Canales is. I think all that have finally come in, and now we're starting to see the fruits of all that labor that's happened over the last years. And I think Carolina's finally consistent enough in their coaching staff to make a difference. That being said, if they don't make if they perform poorly in the playoffs, quarterbacks have it hard. When a team wins, even if the quarterback doesn't play great, he gets credit.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at I almost said Walter Peyton Manning in the Denver Broncos Super Bowl. He did not play like Peyton Manning, but he was the leader.
He was playing like a guy that had his neck fused together and shouldn't have been
exactly.
out there.
Exactly. So, but you look at that, right? And oh, by the way, when you really want to get old, go back to the Super Bowl that the Jets won against the Baltimore Colts when Johnny Unitas, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, came out. Prime Johnny Unitas would have made that game a little bit more interesting, but he played like an older guy, kind of struggling. So I'm sorry. I know I said I wasn't going to go for a score a year ago, and I did.
I was laughing because I was going to make fun of you, but I can't make fun of you because at least you can say back when my team won the Super Bowl. Because all I can say is back before I was born, my team lost 4 Super Bowls and has never been to a Super Bowl since I've been alive.
True,
so I can't really make fun of you when you're throwing around the Baltimore Colts, Johnny Unitas, like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were out there running routes and
running pass routes, right? Thomas Jefferson was the cornerback. He hit really hard. So there's this thing you see with Bryce Young and the court and taking the heat as a quarterback. I think his major plus is that the team, maybe they've always believed in him, but being able to stand as a leader, the way I saw him stand as a leader in Alabama, and seeing him being able to do the things that will make the team, what's the magic word I always say? Trust. In my quarterback, I trust. When I walk into the huddle, and Big Bob, you've played, you know the deal. When you walk into the huddle and your defensive captain or your quarterback, if you don't trust them, you already got stank eye going on, right? And that makes that half step becomes a little bit slower. That idea of like, is he going to make the right decision? Do I have to do something different to make up for his lack of whatever? Notice I said his and not his and hers because women leaders knock it out all the time. But so there's a reality for the Panthers right now that they have a guy like Bob said that they can build around now for real, and the patience have paid off. And with their young coach, with Bryce Young, with that core group of players, if they can maintain consistency with their coaching staff, they can do what Tampa Bay has done in the NFC South for the last few years, and that is get on a winning streak, be able to take over that conference. Because I see I don't see any other team in the NFC South anyway having enough to get over their hump right now because they keep shooting themselves in the body parts we can't talk about in this podcast.
Yeah, and I do want to touch back to what you were saying about Bryce Young when he was at Alabama. We do, and this is for a lot of teams, we unfairly criticize particular
Mm-hmm.
positions of particular colleges, and
Mm-hmm.
I do it as well because you look at all that criticism. You have Bryce Young, he's too small, or he's an Alabama quarterback. Can you trust an Alabama quarterback when they make it to the NFL? I can't trust a Michigan court as a Vikings fan. I dreaded the moment that we drafted JJ McCarthy, not because JJ McCarthy isn't talented, but JJ McCarthy is a quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines. And you can't name a quarterback other than Tom Brady who has been successful in the NFL for the Michigan Wolverines. And people will say Tom Brady when it comes to, oh, you can't trust a quarterback for Michigan. You can't point to one guy from 25 years ago, 25 or 26 years ago, and you have all these ones who were unsuccessful coming out. Denard Robinson, Chad Henne, and I liked Chad Henne a lot for the Dolphins.
Right.
And in Madden, but I know you're not a video game guy. He was a great quarterback in Madden. But anyways,
This year, I'm going to treat myself. This year I'm going to treat myself to a PS5. Yeah, I said it, and I'm gonna learn how to do the video game thing. So everybody stay tuned.
Look
Maestro's
out!
gonna
Look
use
out!
electricity.
But yeah, I mean, there are those guys that they get a bad rap just because of the team they're on, and it's like, yeah, you're at Alabama, and those times it's changing a little bit with the NIL and stuff now, but in those times, yeah, you should go to Alabama and play like a superstar quarterback when you have two future number one overall picks at wide receiver, probably four potential first round picks on the offensive line. Yeah, you should do those things. And coming out when he wasn't that guy, everybody's like,
Yeah,
oh, he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust. Yeah, there were some growing pains there for sure. But you just have to be patient. And again, that's why when it comes to players and coaches, give them 3 years. Well, you got to let the coaches get their players in to be able to coach them up and get them to where they want them to be and to get their system installed. And those players, you have to give them time to learn. This isn't 30 years ago when we were able to it wasn't even just 30 years ago, 15
yeah,
years ago, where you could draft a
right.
quarterback and let him sit behind somebody for a couple of seasons. Aaron Rodgers should have probably been the number one overall pick the season he came out, but he didn't. He dropped. The Packers drafted him, and he sat behind Favre for what, three seasons, and then he finally got to go in the fourth when Favre retired for the 37th time. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's the landscape has changed in that sense, but you have to give them time. They're no longer developing behind a
No,
veteran. They're
I
developing
look.
by playing, and we have
See
to give them
last
that
week's
time.
episode.
Yeah.
Maestro's quarterback university.
Yeah.
Just go and just scroll till you get to that part, and you'll see
Yep.
my plan for that.
And then go
And
watch all the other episodes to get us over 100
yeah,
views on all of them.
that's true. And thank you guys for that, by the way. And oh, by the way, so again, Maestro, check me on this. As much as we talk about Alabama quarterbacks, it's the school with the most different quarterbacks, I believe, that have won the Super Bowl. Bart Starr won the first two. Joe Namath, also from Alabama, won Super Bowl III. Ken Stabler was the Alabama quarterback, and I think he won I can't remember what Super Bowl he won. And then Jalen Hurts has won the Super Bowl. So that's four. Believe it or not, I think Purdue is next. Drew Brees is Purdue. Bob Greasy was Purdue. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And there's another dude. Lynn Dawson was also Purdue. So please, again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. I'll fix it later. I'll look it up later. But so it's amazing. We think about Alabama. We don't think about the quarterbacks. But then when we look at the Super Bowl era of football, that's the school with the most different quarterbacks to win. I'm not counting Michigan because Tom Brady is the only guy from Michigan who's won the Super Bowl. He won 7. That's different. And also, I kind of don't count Notre Dame because Joe Namath from Notre Dame won 17 Super Bowls, whatever it is, 800. I'm sorry, Joe Montana. That's it. I mean Joe Montana. And wait, didn't Theismann go to Notre Dame too? I think Theismann also went to Notre Dame. So
I'm not sure.
I'm not going to waste time and fact check myself. Please fact check me, make sure that I'm right with this. But I don't know. But for some reason, I have that in my head and the only reason I do, Big Bob, is because I remember talking about this with somebody a while ago, and I was surprised that BYU, I think, has two guys who have won Super Bowls: Steve Young and Jim McMahon. Yeah, Jim McMahon. Is also a BYU guy. So I don't know. I'm sorry, that was just my head. I apologize.
This is what this is what happens. We give him a little nugget, and he just runs down the rabbit hole with it.
Yes, man. There's so much. One day, I'm gonna do the show with like the things you can see inside my head and see all the little demons running around.
I don't know. I don't know if the people could. I don't know if the people could handle that. It's kind of like that. The book. Well, it was a movie too. Bird Box. You can't look at the things, or else you go crazy. We can't look inside that brain, Maestro. We can't do it. But Coach Pope, thank you. Oh, sorry, Jay Midoriya, thank you for that question.
Thank you,
and we're gonna
appreciate you, my dude.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up those topics from the people with another Coach Pope question, and his question is simple: are the San Antonio Spurs legitimate contenders this season? I apologize, Maestro. I've taken the lead a lot. On this episode, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, they have another team that they have a good, solid young core that's just getting it together with a solid veteran in there like Fox. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think they're legitimate contenders this season?
Well, what the San Antonio Spurs have shown us, going from the Admiral, if you know, to the volleyball player who took up basketball the last year in college, if you know, to Victor Wembanyama, if you know, what they've done is proven what a loser the Kansas City Chiefs are. Like, I knew they wouldn't be able to maintain. I knew they were a fake dynasty. I'm sorry. Sarcasm maxed up to 100, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to, because you mentioned, has there ever been a team that has just hit on they're not all the same position, but just bigs in general, not just centers or power. But has there ever been a team that has just gone they went from David Robinson to Tim Duncan. Sorry, I was drawing a blank on his name. We went from David Robinson to Tim Duncan to Wemby. Like, yeah, there was a little break. I think there's a little gap there between Wemby and Duncan, but how?
Yeah. You cannot say the Lakers because their bigs all play someplace else, and they basically got them in free agency. Yeah, that's different.
The Spurs just
hit, which means they're the exact opposite of the Portland Trailblazers. If you're over 7 foot tall and you get drafted by the Portland Trailblazers,
bye knees. Bye knees.
Walk out in front of a bus now. Walk out in front of a bus now. Get it over with. It's something about that floor in their practice gym that just destroys people over 7 feet tall.
You just cut your legs off from the knees down and just call it a career.
Yeah, because it's like, and I feel so bad for them because every time they draft this person, and it's going to be this new, and boom, knee injuries, career-ending knee injury, boom, career-ending knee injury, career-ending.
I couldn't have imagined that. So the Portland Trailblazers, when you think of the team they could have potentially had, now if everybody stayed healthy, they wouldn't have ended up with all of them. But you look at LaMarcus Aldridge, Greg Oden, you had Damian Lillard, Brandon Roy. People don't talk about Brandon Roy enough.
No, keep going.
They had so much talent there. And again, you're with Roy, even Aldridge. Aldridge started to, but he did carry the load for a while. But Roy, Oden, and Damian Lillard didn't get hurt there, but I mean his body's worn out from carrying the load too. But no, they had so much talent, but the loss of Brandon Roy and Greg Oden, obviously Greg Oden never ever lived up to the hype because of injuries coming out of because of his knees. But not having those, or if they had those two, I couldn't imagine. Like, they probably could have won a championship.
At least one.
At least
one. And oh, by the way, we're saying it like this. He's like, okay, listen. before you guys start banging on us, I understand that Big Bob and I just said that like it's going through a doggone McDonald's drive-through asking for extra tartar sauce on your fish sandwich. All right. We know it's not easy to win a championship in any league on any sport. Okay. That being said, when you have guys like that at their best in a league where bigs can dominate and can take over the game the way they like we saw what happened with Shaq. Imagine if Shaq would have like ate a salad. Just imagine. Okay, so all those things aside, and all joking aside, the dominance that they could have shown. And I know the Bulls did not have a real center. I get that. But there was also a different group of guys at a different point in the league where once you got past Shaq and maybe two other people, there were no real bigs in the league.
Yep.
And I'm saying that because they were all jumping out past the 3-point line, shooting threes from the taco stand in the parking lot, as opposed to playing in the post. What I like about what the Spurs does to kind of drag myself back to the question, because I promised I would be quick tonight. I've already told two lines already. The fact that you have a guy in the same mold as Tim Duncan and the Admiral, averaging a double-double this early in his career. Now he's finally put on some weight. He looks like not only a legit 7'4", but a legit 7'4" that can't be pushed around anymore. The fact that I saw him handle the ball in a way that I haven't seen a big handle ball since Magic Johnson. And I know this is real bias going because Magic Johnson is like my number one player probably of all time. So watching him at 7'4" handle the ball and watching him being guarded by a guard that was afraid of his handle to not go after the ball, realized that he can get past him, that he was shading back. He steps back, pops a three, not like a Dirk Nowitzki three where I'm planting and I'm growing roots in the corner. Not like a Vlade Divac three where I'm hanging out eating ice cream at the wing of the three and I'm taking a shot. No. He manipulated himself into the three and then he still goes into the post and does his work. He makes me believe that there's a chance that we can see real bigs play again. And now being able to play with that sort of versatility makes him super dangerous, right? And being on the Spurs with those guys right now playing every possession. Listen to what Maestro is saying. Please, please, please. Watch them, no sound. Look at how that team reacts defensively in every possession. Look at the fact that everybody that plays against them, that's the dip in their shooting percentage if you look at the total stats throughout the season. Look at the fact that they've just handled, I believe, Oklahoma City for the third straight time this season. Oklahoma City, who's beaten everybody else, because I think they're 26-2 against their other opponents, but they're 0-3 against the Spurs, which tells me that the Spurs can play with the best as well as they don't slack and do quality time load management against the worst, that they're playing every single possession. What that tells me, yes, they are real. Yes, like the Patriots, playing mistake-free plays and mistake-free possessions. The San Antonio Spurs are doing the exact same thing. And oh, by the way, doing it in a league where other people will take off, and you see it all the time. At me if you want to, prove me wrong. The reality of it is when you have a team willing to play every single possession the way the Spurs do, they are a problem, yo. And oh, by the way, if you walk in there kind of half button it too, they're just going to truck you. They're not going to play down to your level the way they've done before when he was learning his game. I think now that they're finally comfortable enough as a team, listen, this is our standard. If you're here, that's your problem because this is our standard. This is our standard. If you're down here, that's your problem because we're still going to play here. So that means we truck you by 40 points. We truck you by 40 points. Get over it. Deal with it.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry,
and
I just got wound up with that one. I broke a sweat on that.
Yeah. Oh, and this Spurs team, the difference from the past couple years is there is a very good, there's a good mixture of vets and young guys on this team. You
Look
have
at the contract.
Yep. Yep.
Big, I'm so sorry. Hold on to your point because I want to add some ice cream to what you just said. Look at the contracts that the vets are playing under that that are trying to play for another contract. Look at that too. Think about what Big Bob just said, and that gives you another added point to why the sprinkles taste a little bit better on their Baskin Robbins shake than it does anybody else. Okay, now go ahead, Bob.
Well, you got coupled with Wemby, who's still a young
Mm-hmm.
guy. They
Mm-hmm.
drafted,
Who everybody likes, by the way.
yeah. I don't know if there's anybody that doesn't like him, unless you just don't like the Spurs.
Right.
But you have Wemby, Castle, Dylan Harper coming off the bench this season, and then you couple that with De'Aaron Fox. You have who people thought was going to be a great addition to the Splash Brothers, but it never really worked out. Harrison Barnes.
Right.
You have
Great point.
Vassell, who most I don't know what most like I don't want to call them fair weather fans, but what's the word
That's
for
cool.
the fan? I can't think of it right now. It is late and I'm tired. The fan that is just kind of, they're not the hardcore
Just
fan. What's the word?
yeah.
I don't
They
know.
hop on the bus. They
No,
hop on the bus.
not those ones.
No,
Just like you have those. Oh yeah, I like basketball. Okay, well,
yeah, right.
tell me somebody other than Wemby and LeBron. Those
Yeah,
kinds of fans.
right. Gotcha,
Most
gotcha, gotcha,
people,
gotcha, gotcha.
I really don't know a whole lot about Vassell, but he is one of the stars of this Spurs team. But they just, all these guys, unlike those Clippers from a few years ago where you had a bunch of role players who said, you know what, we're coming in and doing our job. You have a lot of guys here, and again, I'm not saying those Clippers didn't have talent because they did, but you have some guys here with super ultra talent who are just going out there and doing their job, and they don't care who scores the most points tonight. And if you go back and look at their entire schedule, yeah, sure, Wemby started the season leading scorer for the team, always the highest points scored for the team. But as the season has gone on, and that is a little bit to do with Wemby being injured and stuff, there's somebody different every single night scoring the most points because the only thing
Right.
they care about is we're going out there and winning, and whoever is
Mhm.
going to be the one who has the hot hand, you're going to be the one, you're going to be scoring tonight, and we don't care. Wemby's not going to
Like they
complain
all
if
do. They
all
all
of
play
them.
defense.
All of them. And Wemby's not going to sit there and complain that he didn't score 50 points tonight in a
Nope.
loss. He's going to be happy scoring 10 points, and his teammates scored 40, and they won by 30. Like that,
Yep.
it's one of those things. I think this Spurs team, and they've carried it over from Pop when Pop was the coach. They've
Yep.
carried this
Hmm.
over. The Spurs, and I was worried that it wasn't going to continue, but obviously Tim Duncan being on the coaching staff helps.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, that culture, dude. That culture.
that
You
culture, it didn't change. It is the same Spurs culture from when Pop was there till now. And I really did expect there to be some lackadaisical stuff, but no, they let Wemby figure himself out. And he wasn't a guy that you were going to go after one season, oh, he's a bust. And he wasn't a bust. He was doing things that some players were never ever going to be able to do. But
no.
they gave him a chance to grow his game, build himself, kind of like Giannis. Giannis came out, he was a huge project player, and now he's one of the greatest players in NBA, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest in the history of the game. Um,
Hmm.
but they gave this team the chance to grow together. They gave Wemby a chance to figure himself out, and they put together such a good core of vets and young players. I think that this Spurs team, and it's the Spurs and the Thunder. One of them are going to win the championship this season, and
Wow. Early call from Big Bob.
their injuries can play a factor, but I truly think
Yeah.
like when you sit down and you look at the entire scope of the NBA, I just think that these two teams, yeah, you're going to look and there might be some guys with a better record than them, but or might end up with a better record than them, whatever. I mean, Oklahoma City and San Antonio are at the top of the Western Conference, which is
Okay.
always considered the toughest conference. They do have the first and third, I think the first and third best records. So Detroit, I I love what Detroit is doing. They are still young. I don't think that they are going to be able to win a championship if they're relying on Cade Cunningham to be the main guy constantly going out there. He is a
That's true.
star. He is the
Yeah,
guy.
no,
But
but you're right though.
he needs a little bit more help. And Tobias
Yeah,
Harris coming in,
you're
that
not.
veteran presence was good, but
Detroit's not team consistent the way the Spurs are.
yeah, I don't think they're there yet. They have a great record, 24-6,
Hmm.
second best record in the
Hmm.
NBA. They've done some great things. Nobody expected them to do it. And we talked about them
Right.
earlier this, a few episodes ago. We talked about them and how we're surprised that they didn't build this team the way that they didn't keep a coach around for 5 to 10 years and let him build. They're constantly swapping through coaches and stuff. So how are they here?
Hmm.
I don't know. So I don't trust Detroit yet. I'll never
Gotcha.
trust the Knicks. I don't trust Detroit because they're still too fresh. Next season, if they're still doing this, okay, they're going to be one of the teams that I think can win a championship. But right now, I
Who
truly
does?
think. Hmm? Go ahead.
I know who does. I'm sorry. I apologize. Who does Yale's favorite player play for? The guy who eats himself off a team.
Charles Barkley.
No, no, no. James Harden.
James Harden. He's is he back with the Clippers?
Okay, so that's okay. So they're out. So that's all I need to know. So who is it? So I know. So I know they're out of it. They're out of it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was a low
No,
blow.
you said yeah. He's back with the Clippers, averaging 25.8 points a game,
Yep.
and still, I mean, not doing a whole lot of anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to let.
I'm
Moving
sorry.
on because I have my
totally
butt hurts
derailed
a
Big
little
Bob.
bit talking about James Harden as a 76ers fan, so I'm just going to move on from that conversation.
I'm
No,
so
I truly
sorry,
think
everybody.
the winner of the NBA championship winner is going to come out of the Western Conference. I don't trust any team in the East, but I do believe that the only team that I think outside of the Thunder and the Spurs, and I know I apologize, Pope, this wasn't your question, but I'm trying to say that I do believe the Spurs are legitimate contenders because I think they're
Great.
only one of 3 teams in general that I think are truly going to contend this season, and that's the Thunder, Spurs, and until Joker retires, I'm never going to leave the Nuggets out of that conversation. And they have, then they
That's a
do
good
have a
point.
good record. So those
That's a
three
good point.
teams, you can just right now throw everybody else out. One of those 3 teams is going to be your championship winner.
And you know what, Big Bob, to add on to what you just said, really, think about what the culture means in the Spurs. Think about the legacy you have from the Admiral to
Yep.
Tim Duncan and now Wimbignana, and that Popovich stepped down as coach, but he's still. I think he is he president. He's he's in the upper office. He's in the upper office.
Whatever he is,
Whatever
he still
he's
has
there.
a say.
He's still there, right? Imagine how. Imagine what it's like to be around that sort of consistency. Like, people can bag on the Steelers all you want to, and God knows I want to. The fact that they've had 3 coaches in over half a century, and my Jets have gone through 3 coaches in a year so many times I can't even think about it. The fact that you have that consistency within the coaching staff, that consistency within the leadership, that consistency within the
Yep.
management, ownership, those things matter because they can then say legitimately, this is not just the player we want to bring in because of the talent they have, but because of the person that they are. And when you bring in that sort of top quality individual and you build around unselfish people who give to their teammates, the person who plays for the guy next to them or the woman next to them, the person who plays for the person who I'm not starting tonight, but you would never tell that the way I'm busting my butt in practice. You would never tell that the way I'm trying to push the guy I'm guarding on the one. I might be a 2, but if I'm guarding the 1, I'm going to make him work. Why? Because I want to make him better so that way I can get better, challenging him so that way when the coach puts me in, he can trust or she can trust that I'm going to do what needs to be done for our victory tonight. Imagine.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No. You
I was going to say
right
they play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back.
Mm-hmm. And it makes it. Now, by the way, the guys who play for the name on the back of the jersey, the guys who like to McDonald's themselves off a team and stuff like that, yeah, we can talk about their stats and we can talk about what they're doing. But you know what you never really talk about with those cats?
Championships. Got
You
him.
know, you never really talk about. You can tell a lot about how a team feels about a player when they get knocked down. How many people don't go over to help them up off the
Yep.
floor? You
Yep.
can tell. You just look at these little subtle things, people. And listen, I know a lot of you guys know this already. A lot of you ladies know this already. I'm just speaking to the person who might not. When you see a quarterback get lambasted like a Mack truck just got through running through an ice cream stand, and none of the linemen run over there to help get them up, that tells you about some feelings right there
Yep.
and some perceptions. When you see a player dive on the floor for a ball or get checked or have take a charge and get knocked into the third row and nobody goes over there. And by the way, sometimes it's not just from their team, it's from the other team too. When watch Wimbenyana get knocked down or fall, you see a lot of people go to help him up, right? And they might make a little smart comment or whatever. And I'm going to bring it back to Atlanta for 1 second. Look at Trae Young. The fact that he consistently gets left off of players' calls and player roles teams. And can he play? Yes. But there's something about him that apparently has rubbed enough of his colleagues the wrong way where when he gets knocked down, you don't see people running up to help him. When he hurt his ankle, coach staff comes out there. His teammates didn't take a knee. His teammates get what? So that kind of tells you something right there that whatever it is, no inside baseball. I don't know. It just looks like the optics are. We don't really care for this guy.
Yep.
So that tells you about a team like the Spurs. No matter who hits the ground, the guys are racing each other to get there to help them get off the ground.
Yep.
No matter who goes diving to the stands, even the cats on the bench race over there because they can do that because they're not on the floor. You know, that tells you about where they are as a team. That tells you where they are as a culture. And it tells you what you have in that locker room is something you don't see anymore in professional sports. I can't believe I'm going to do this to Big Bob, and I'm going to apologize to everybody else. When Jimmy Johnson coached the Cowboys, he treated them like a college team. And that energy led to the dynasty they became. Unfortunately, it led to his popularity, which made Gerald Jones want to get rid of him because Gerald Jones needed to be the star, and they brought in Barry Switzer. But look at the way the Cowboys, and I know there's a documentary out now about America's team and all the other stuff that goes on, and that's fine. But look at how he ran the team and everybody made fun of him for that. Run like a college team, the same way they made fun of when, oh my goodness, who was the coach that ended up winning the Super Bowl with the Rams, but he was with the Eagles before? Dick Vermeil. They made fun of Dick Vermeil in the same way, right? But yet still he built a winning culture, right? Andy Reid builds a winning culture. And what you see with those teams, those cats play for each other. And it's easy for us to say, we're not making millions of dollars, and they are closer to the Hall of Fame than we can ever even spell. So let's get that out the way right now. But when you have a group of cats with talent, with the mental acuity or high mental literacy of their game playing together, I'm sorry, that's just dangerous. When you have a group of players that are with a lot of talent, but everybody does their own thing, that's not a team. That's just a bunch of guys running around wearing the same drawers. And that's going to lose every single time. And if there's one bad apple on that team, either the team isolates them away, but if he's a starter or she's a starter, they can't and they got to live with it. That poison leaks out into the rest of the team, into their performance. And I've gone way too long on this. But the reality of it is you see a team like the Spurs, you can't say that about the Clippers right now.
Yeah.
You can't say that about some other teams right now. And for those of you who live and die with everybody in the NBA, do me a favor. Hit me up with your observations with that. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I kind of don't think I am.
No, yeah. I mean, you look back, people from the outside looking in we all have our opinions and stuff, but people always like to talk about so negatively about Dennis Rodman. And I know you touched on the dynasty a
Yeah.
little bit. So I'm going to look back. Like, people talked so negatively about Dennis Rodman on the outside, but you knew what kind of teammate he was and what kind of person he was in that locker room by
Yep.
how Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and everybody on that team tried to protect him from
Yes.
looking like, yes, they accepted Dennis Rodman for who he was, but if they could protect him from those outside people, because they knew the league was going to be looking at him, the front office was going to be looking at him for a certain way, looking for a
Right.
reason to suspend him. Always, again, I'll never forget the moment that they tackled him. It wasn't an accident. Was there some feet tripped up? Maybe, but like, they literally did everything they could to pull him away from, I think it might have been, it was either the Knicks or the Rockets. I can't remember. They were playing, and they knew if he would have taken another step forward, are we going to lose our teammate and one of the key cogs in
Right.
this machine for
One of the
a
big
very,
three.
very important games.
Mhm.
So they did everything they could to protect him. You're right. You see some of these players, they go down. You see that quarterback that gets smacked, and they're slow, they're on their hands and knees trying to get up, and the rest of the team's back in the huddle just waiting on him. Yeah, he'll get here eventually. Like, yeah, this Spurs team, I truly believe that they are going to die for each other on that court, and they're going to do everything. Same with that Thunder's team. Those two teams, I just think, and the
Yeah.
Nuggets. Again,
Agreed. I agree with you.
those
I agree
three
with you. Yeah.
teams. You put them at the very, very top, and then there's everybody else when it comes to
Yeah.
the camaraderie that they have. I don't think anybody touches those three, and that's one of the reasons that I think one of those three teams are going to win the championship. And right now, I think that as Wemby develops, the only person that I can see knocking those two, the Thunder and the Spurs, out again is the Nuggets and Joker, because I can't count Joker out until he's out. Just
No.
like with Mahomes,
No.
you can't count Mahomes out until he's out, and he's out. So
Yep.
you can't
Now
count
he's
on the
out,
Chiefs
and
this
yeah,
season. Now
great
we
point.
don't know. Can't trust Josh Allen yet because he's never gotten past the Chiefs to get to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. But
Oh,
now the
dude,
Chiefs aren't
can you
there. Is he
imagine?
going to be able to do it?
Can you imagine the pain in Buffalo if they get there this year
Mm,
and they don't win it?
yeah, their
I
biggest
I
hurdles.
I,
Their biggest hurdle's gone. For what
I
people said, the biggest
feel
hurdle, he's gone.
I feel for Buffalo fans, 4 straight visits to the Super Bowl, and I actually used to get angry, even though I'm not a Bills fan. I love Marv Levy. I love I love the guys on those teams. I'm not a fan of the team, obviously, but the fact that all I can say is you get to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row in the era they did.
Mm,
You know, now the Chiefs kind of added another team to annual trips to the Super Bowl.
yeah,
The Even the Patriots didn't do a regular trip to the Super Bowl. I don't think they got back-to-back wins until Brady. Did they ever get back-to-back wins in the Super Bowl?
they did with Brady. They
I'm
did with Brady. They had I can't remember. He won one. They missed the season from the Super Bowl, and then they won two, or they won
yeah.
two, missed one, and then won another one.
Gotcha, okay.
They did
So,
win a couple in a row.
but I'm sorry, it wasn't those Buffalo teams that went there 4 years in a row. The way they did that, and no, they didn't win, but they got there. And when I'm listen, I'm gonna say something I probably shouldn't share in publicly. I pushed many a teammate into their locker when they talk bad about the Buffalo Bills. I'm not proud of it, but I did it because all I could think of was who was your favorite team and when was the last time they smelt a playoff game,
Yep.
right? You know,
Yep.
because a lot of guys that I played around coming up were either Saints fans or Houston Oilers fans, and I'm not going to say anything else after that. So imagine those guys who were fans of those teams or Cowboys fans back when the Cowboys weren't going to the Super Bowl. So imagine these guys talking about a team that went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row when the Saints didn't sniff a Super Bowl till they finally won one, right? So come on, guys. 2005 was it or whatever? So
Yep.
come on. I mean, I will always have a level of respect for them and their fans for how diehard they are about it because I believe they're one of the true national fan bases. There are very few teams I believe have true national fan bases. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, are one. And I'm almost I'm kind of pulling for them a little bit, even though they're in my division, even though whatever, just because this is their year. If they can get past the Patriots, I guess
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
have to get past Mahomes, and listen, for all the Bills fans who are watching this, if I'm out of line, yell at me. But I really, 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 really will feel for you if you can't take it this year.
One thing that
For that
does
reason.
frustrate me though is they put way he's the quarterback and I understand, but there's way too much pressure and way too much blame on Josh Allen. I mean, dude can score 45 points and they're still saying, "Oh, I don't know if Josh Allen can get this team to the Super Bowl." He scored if his offense scored 45 points or if the team as a whole scored 45 points, it's not Josh Allen's fault that they didn't make it to a Super Bowl.
Defense.
Yeah,
Just maybe
a
look at the
little
defense. Just
bit,
maybe. I don't
a
know.
little
Just
bit,
throwing it out there.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right.
There you go.
Well, because we've done it and we do it every single time, I don't know if we got an answer from Maestro. Maestro, are the Spurs legitimate contenders? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
They
There
are.
we go. We're back. We're back on track. Thanks, Coach Pope.
Love you, Coach. Love you, Coach.
Oh,
Appreciate you.
I would love for us to I would love for someone to go through and time and say this is how long they spent on a topic and this is how long they spent just going off on a tangent about something that had
Squirrel.
nothing to do with
Squirrel. Squirrel.
it. Squirrel.
Kite.
Cut.
Rabbit.
But I kind of alluded to it a little bit, Maestro, as well. We want to thank all the fans
Yes.
for getting our
Yes.
first episode. That's me ringing a bell, Maestro. I know.
Yay.
Our first episode hit over 100 views. We appreciate it. We're doing this as organically as possible. We're not paying to promote. We're not paying for views and paying for people to follow and stuff like that. So just the fact that we were able to get to 100 views on that first episode, I know they're long. I know people don't stick around for the whole thing, and I understand. We try.
My fault.
We try. We try. We know nobody. We're an hour and 21 minutes into this one, not including intro. So I know probably our longest episode, Maestro. Thank you very much. I know a lot of people, but we truly want to thank you guys for your support. Yes. Our last short that went up with Maestro talking about Tim Tebow, that hit over 2,100 views on Instagram / it was on Instagram, but it's Instagram / Facebook, and over 1,400 views. 1,400? Yeah, 1,400 views on YouTube.
So that's how people are going to remember me.
So giving Tim Tebow some props. A Georgia fan giving Tim Tebow some props.
They're going to take my degree away. They're going to take my degree away and they're going to take all my stuff away. Oh man.
But we appreciate your guys' support. Everybody for their questions. Rod Smith didn't have I want everybody to go check out Rod Smith on TikTok. He watches games, commentates games, but he truly engages with all the fans, everybody that he engages with in his comment section. Appreciate him taking the time to talk to me and giving us a topic for this episode. Coach Pope, Jay Midoriya, Adam, I appreciate all you. I don't think I missed anybody this week, and obviously thanks B Ron, because I know I pulled him back in even though he didn't have a question this week. But we truly appreciate your guys' support and just sticking around and listening to us. And we love feedback, good or bad, criticism. If people have things that they want to see, have things that they want to see us do. I know we keep talking about doing small things throughout the week. We haven't done it yet, and that's on us. We just haven't done it. There's no reason. There's no excuse. I will take the blame on that, because all I have to do is say, "Hey, Maestro, let's do this," and he's going to be like, "Cool, when?" But
listen, in reality, you're moving from one state to another state. Dude, I'm sorry. You have nothing ever to apologize for. The stuff you do is amazing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna step in front of the bullet. I'm gonna be the good teammate, step in the front of the bullet for you on that. That is not on you, fam. Trust me.
But everybody, let's say, Maestro, do you have any final words for the people?
how much I appreciate them, how much you guys have come to mean to us, and how much we really truly appreciate your questions and your thought, your insight. We love your criticism. We love your because criticism is not a bad thing. Criticism is just you're critiquing what we're doing and what you think will make us better, and we want to hear that, and we're definitely going to try it. I will start bathing more, I promise, in the new year.
That's
So you so you have
if you're
you
not
have that to look forward to.
yeah, if you're not critiquing us, you're not watching us. So again, that's
Thank you.
there you go. But
We
yeah,
love it. Sounds seriously appreciate everybody so much, and Merry Christmas, everybody, and may
Merry
your new
Christmas,
year
everybody. Yeah,
be blessed.
I don't think is an episode gonna no. I think New Year's is New Year's next Thursday or something. So we'll say Happy New Year's next week. So,
Yeah,
but Merry Christmas, everybody. Truly, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. We appreciate
100%.
you. Have a great rest of your weekend.